What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for wide receivers to improve their speed. So we're going to be talking about how you guys can get a faster get off the ball, how you guys can generate some more explosion and speed on your press releases, and then how you guys can be faster out of your cuts. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it improves your speed drastically and helps those fast twitch fibers improve. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to get some work in with us this offseason, me and my staff of coaches, we're traveling out to 4 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. Next up on our camp tour, we're going to be coming out to Dallas, Texas. Then we're going to be heading out to Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and then Los Angeles, California. We just got done with our Chicago camp this weekend, so we appreciate everybody who came out, got some work in with us, but we're excited to get out to these next 4 states. So if you guys want some more information on that, check out that very first link in the description below. We would love to have you out. Let's get started. So now, first things first I want to talk about is this kind of prep step that you can take off the line to generate some explosion. So this wide receiver is going to be working something we call a diamond release. So a diamond release is when you have an inside shade DB, you take 3 steps on a 45-degree angle to try to get him to turn his hips, to try to get him to run with the fade, and we slip back underneath and run a slant. So let's play this thing full speed. So how does speed tie into this? How can you improve speed on this? And that is by simply taking a step we call a prep step. So a lot of wide receivers will just come out of this stance and they just take 3 steps on the 45. Now that's fine and that's not necessarily wrong, but sometimes when you get a DB who's very disciplined, to get him to open up his hips, you got to have some explosion and you have to burst off of that line. So that's what that prep step can do. So you see how he takes this step. A lot of people think that this step right here is, oh, he's taking a false step. That's not a false step. That is a step for explosion. Because when you come off the line and you're in your stance and you have the right weight on your front foot, maybe lighter on your back foot, you don't necessarily have, like, you're kind of flat-footed in a way, right? You don't necessarily have that like burst, that suddenness that's going to shoot you into the route. So this is what we call a prep step or a gather step. And that can really shoot you off the ball and give you some explosion and make sure that those 3 steps that you take on that 45 are actually fast steps to get that DB to bail. Because at the end of the day, if you're a slower wide receiver, you got to make sure you bring something to the table, IQ-wise, which would be attacking at the 45. But if you're that quick guy that relies on speed, that quick suddenness explosion that you have off the line is what will get that DB to commit. He's watching your hips, but he's also paying attention to that speed. And if you could have speed off the ball, be able to change direction quickly, and sell it based on the angle that you take, that is going to get you a ton of separation. So this is a great example. So fellas, that little prep step, if you're just doing like a single wide step release, if you're doing a slide, if you're doing a diamond release, that prep step is something that you can do to really push. That prep step helps you push off of that foot, which gives you more explosion. It's almost like taking an extra cut at the top of the route to sell. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great example here from Calvin Austin using that prep step to give him some explosion, give him some speed to the outside, and getting that DB to open up the gate. So now, when it comes to getting some speed off the ball, what do wide receivers need to do? And that comes down to their stance. So a lot of people ask me about false steps. Coach, how can I get rid of false steps? And that's why a lot of wide receivers seem slow off the ball. They have a false step with their front foot. So what is a false step? That's kind of similar to what we were just talking about with that prep step, but it's different. When you have zone and like the DB is off, that's when you wouldn't want to take a prep step. But on every single route that you run from a 5-yard hitch to a 15-yard comeback, you have to be selling what? You got to sell vertical, right? So when I come off the line, I got to get off that dang ball fast. If I don't, I'm not going to be selling vertical. I'm going to be taking choppy steps, choppy strides, and the DB's not going to be able to bail. He's not going to want to bail because he's not threatened to bail. So you having about 70% of your weight on this front foot will help you get a little bit more explosive of a get off. So you see this wide receiver right here, this is Kyle Phillips out of UCLA, explodes off the ball, full stride, ton of speed all the way up into that break point. And it starts with the stance, fellas. You can't be too wide with your back foot and you can't be too light on your front foot. Oftentimes, wide receivers will be like very almost extended with their front foot and they don't have a bend of that knee and they're very tall, and all that's going to cause is that false step. If you have more weight on your back leg than you do front leg, you're going to take a false step. You want to have 70%, 75% on that front leg because that won't allow you to take a false step. So if you stay there, won't allow to take the false step, you will get off that ball much, much faster and your speed will improve a ton off the ball. Now, another reason why this is important is because a false step can make you shorten up the route. right? So like, let's say you're running a curl. And a lot of times, fellas, when you get to that in high school, like all your routes are based off of yardage. Like, hey, you're going to run a 12 back to 10 yard comeback. Hey, you're going to run a 15-yard comeback. In college, it's off of steps when it's zone. So if he's off, this break will probably be off of his fourth outside step. So what I mean with that is every single time that he steps with his right foot, he's going to count. So that first step, that's first outside. Steps with the left foot, we don't count that. Steps with the right foot, second outside. So let's count his steps here. That's 1, that's his first outside. 2, 3, then yes, on the fourth outside is when he snaps down. But imagine if he took a false step. That fourth outside would be at 10 yards, not necessarily, or maybe like 8 yards, maybe like 10, or if it's like a 12 back to 10, it'd be at 10. If there's like 10 back to 8, it'd be at 8. So if you take that false step, you're shortening up the depth. You're not getting to the spot the quarterback needs you to be at, and that can screw up spacing. So not only will it screw up your speed, it will also screw up timing and spacing of the play, which are two things that we do not want to screw up. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. This is a great job by Phillips, not false stepping, exploding, and having enough weight on that front foot to give him that great speed out of the break. So now, last thing I want to talk about is how you guys can get more speed out of your cuts and how you guys can really accelerate out of your breaks. So this is an example of Cooper Kupp when he was in college. And the main thing I want to talk about is your foot strike and your push off of a cut. So this goes for like a post route, this goes for a 10-yard out, or this goes for like a little crossover move that he's throwing right here. So when he goes up into this break and he throws this crossover, he's got a lot of speed out of it. Because when you get separation, you obviously want to keep separation. Like I get separation with the move that I choose at the top of the route, but I keep separation by accelerating out of the break. So when he throws this move and he strikes the ground, where is he striking the ground at? Is he on his tippy toes? No. He's not chopping his feet. He's not beating the drum like a lot of people say. His whole foot's in the ground. But the weight is not distributed on his heel either. He's on that middle arch of the foot. Somebody asked me the other day, hey, what does it mean to strike on the arch of your foot? I mean that middle ground where your foot, like you pretend looking at a foot right now, where your foot is arched in the middle, that arch is where you want to strike the ground. Because when you strike there, you could have some power, you could have some explosion, but also it allows you to push off of the inside arch. So you strike on the arch, that's letting you push off the inside arch because that push that he does right there helps him keep that explosion. When you guys are going up into a route and you take these two explosive steps, they're quick steps, you're shooting that foot in the ground. That foot pushing off of there is what helps you channel that explosive energy and turn that explosion into acceleration. And that's where it gets real fun because you could start getting in and out of breaks quicker and you widen the distance further from that DB. And that's what he does. He widens the distance. He's exploding. He's pumping those arms, driving the knees, all based on that explosiveness with the cut. A lot of wide receivers, what will make them lose speed in and out of their breaks is that they'll make this cut. They'll strike in the right spot, but they push up and their pad level stands up. And then they just turn and run and take all these choppy steps. He's pushing, and his first step with that left foot is already out of there. He's already striding out, pushing off. It's not a step that's going across because he's not pushing. It's not a choppy step because he's going up. Stick, push, open up the hips, and run out of there. That is a great job by Cooper Kupp working this. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job hitting the crossover, striking the ground properly, and driving out of this route. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, you guys. Always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, we're coming out to 4 more states. Just got done with our Chicago, Illinois training camp. So now we're coming out to Dallas, Texas. That camp is almost completely sold out. Then we're coming out to Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. So check out that very first link below, fellas. We'd love to have you out. We'd love to meet you and get our YouTube community out to one of the camps. I'll see you guys next time.